Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to I'm on Scott Selections here for Thursday, November 11th. Before we get into today's play of the day, quick recap of what happened yesterday. We ended up picking up a loss in the NBA with the Pacers -1.5 at -115 on DraftKings. Another game where we beat a decent line move and yet still lost anyway. Pacers went from -1.5 to -3, and they lost outright at Denver. And the Nuggets missing Jokic, Michael Porter Jr., and Jamal Murray, of course, ended up winning the game outright, which is extremely disappointing for Indiana. We expected Denver to struggle offensively. They did. The issue is that Indiana couldn't really score the ball either, as they ended up losing a very low-scoring game. Now, the bit of the surprising news in the middle of the afternoon was the absence of Karis LeVert, who, after playing the last couple of games, ended up dealing with some type of back issue, which became a story midway through the afternoon, and he was a late scratch. So Indiana wasn't at 100%, but they were still significantly healthier than Denver, and that's a pretty embarrassing loss in my opinion. But either way, I like the value we got. Didn't work out, but we're going to look for a winner here on Thursday. And for the play today, looking at a prop in the Thursday night football game between the Ravens and the Dolphins. And the play that is going to be on Lamar Jackson over 9.5 rush attempts at -105 on DraftKings. Time recording of 10:15 a.m. Eastern time. Reasons why I like the over in the spot. First of all, the last couple of games, Lamar has been carrying the ball a lot. Lamar has had at least 12 carries in 3 of his last 4 games. Last game against Minnesota, he kicked it into overdrive. Lamar Jackson had 21 carries for 120 yards. So he was the main ball carrier for this team. Of course, we know that the running back position has been a serious story for Baltimore because it seems like every running back they have gets injured at some point. But as of right now, they have Devontae Freeman and Le'Veon Bell. Latavius Murray is still projected to be out for this game, as he has not played the last couple of weeks. But you're looking at the actual numbers here for Baltimore, and Lamar Jackson is still the primary ball carrier. And I do think that Lamar should have a lot of opportunities to touch the ball in the ground game and to go over this 9.5. Plus, if you are a little bit concerned that maybe Baltimore might take it easy on him, they're still going to call a couple of design runs for him every single week. We know that, probably around 6 or 7 minimum, not to mention the fact that Lamar, whenever there's good pass coverage, is capable of simply just tucking it and running for some free yards. Plus, to remind everybody that kneel downs do count as rush attempts. Baltimore is favored by 7.5 points. So there is a good chance that Baltimore might end up giving Lamar a free 1 to 3 carries based on kneel downs if they have the ball late, with Miami having no timeouts. Now, Miami's defense is a little bit misleading based on the stats. According to the stats, Miami's pass defense is absolutely terrible. And even though that might have been true for the first couple of weeks during the regular season, they definitely looked a lot better. And the main reason why is because of the fact that Byron Jones and Xavier Howard are back fully healthy after missing several weeks apiece. So we know that Byron Jones and Xavier Howard, easily their 2 best corners. They missed the first couple of weeks. Miami's pass defense was terrible. But you're looking at the last couple of weeks, they looked really good against Houston, which doesn't really mean anything because Houston isn't very good. But they did limit Josh Allen to just 266 passing yards. So they have been looking better in the secondary, and I do think that Baltimore might struggle a little bit to find as many open receivers as you might think based on looking at the initial stats. But the ground game, Miami has still not really done that well at defending it. Miami is allowing 111 rushing yards per game, which ranks 17th in the league, which makes me believe that Baltimore is going to stick to their ground and pound approach. I do think that Lamar should end up getting into double-digit carries, whether that's by design or the fact that Miami's secondary is pretty good. So Lamar might end up tucking it and running more than people might think. But for a guy who just had 21 carries, and for a guy who's had at least 12 carries in 3 of his last 4 games, and for a guy who is going to have designed runs put into the playbook because we all know how dynamic Lamar is with the ball in his hands, 9.5 sounds way too low, especially at -105. So that's going to be the play of the day. So play of the day, once again, here for Thursday, November 11th, is going to be on Lamar Jackson over 9.5 rush attempts at -105 on DraftKings. Bye, everyone.